What's up, y'all? It's your boy Mighty Moth here with another video. I'm gonna look over these patch notes, and we're gonna react to them together. I'm gonna skip most of the stuff. We're here for the barbarian shit, you know what it is. But looks like they buffed up some runes, offering on the Mani rune. 3 pestilent swarms instead of 1. Damage reduced from 300% to 150% there. A couple of things with the mercenaries. Light increases. Skip the Spiritborn. Bug fixes. Issue where the layout had less monster density, which made achieving it difficult. Fix issue where the end portal could fail to send players back to town if you interacted with it. How about fixed an issue where it didn't give you what you put in? Like today, I did a Tribute of Ascendants United. Did 3 of them. The Spiritborn that helped me and my other Barb companion got a Mythic Unique the first 2 times. We got nothing. And the 3rd time, none of us got any uniques. Like 0 uniques when it's guaranteed uniques. We have some buffs to Mythic uniques. Shattered Vow gets an increase in from damage to health replaced with a damage over time duration, which is actually pretty big. That's like a kind of a separate damage multiplier in a way. Andy's got an increase. Alright, here we go. Barbarian. Bold Chieftain's aspect buffed to the cooldown reduction to 70%. Ground Stomp got a buff. Strategic Ground Stomp got a buff. Hammer of the Ancients, Upheaval. Every rune for Upheaval buffed. Double Swing got a 10% buff. Leap got a buff. Kick got basically quadruple damage. So that, I mean, that's something. It gets most of its damage from the Fury consumption, but I mean, it's something. We'll take it. Buffs to Iron Skin, Rupture, Death Blow, Steel Grasp, Mighty Throw, surprisingly. I guess it was always giving double damage, so they decided to fix that bug and then give it to you another way through buffing it instead, which is, I mean, that's cool with me. I want all bugs to be fixed. Looking like a lot of the uniques got slight buffs. I mean, Gore's is still useless, but they got a buff. Ring of Red Fury got a buff. Tusk Helm goes to a 25% damage multiplier. But the real big things here are the buffs to the Decimator node and the Blood Rage node. That is absolutely massive. We get a 45% multiplier with Blood Rage now, so we're gonna have to stack a little bit more damage while berserking, which is fine. We're easily able to achieve, I would say, 450% with like 1, maybe 2 tempers, so that's huge. And then Decimator goes from, instead of 10% and 10%, so you get a vulnerable damage bonus increase to 20%, and your overpowered bonus increased from 20 to 20%. So when you overpower, you get an additional 20% damage multiplier. So that's actually pretty big, I would say. I don't think these changes are everything we need, but we have a few buffs to passives, like Heavy-Handed going to 6, 12, and 18 instead of 5, 10, 15. Pit Fighter, I don't really understand this. It goes from 3% increased damage and 2% distant damage reduction to 3% increased damage and you gain 2% damage reduction. I would have liked to have seen that bumped up to like 4 or 5% increased damage, and then the damage reduction change is just kind of whatever. No Mercy now gives us a flat critical strike chance increase, which is pretty nice. The Battle Mad aspect previously gained berserking for 1.5 to 4 seconds after swapping weapons 8 times. Now you gain 20 to 40% increased damage and berserking for 4 seconds after swapping weapons 8 times. I would like to see that drop to swapping 5 or 6 times, because like swapping weapons 8 times is, especially for the way the barbarians are set up, right? All of our passives, unlike Spiritborn, which every skill can become every skill, so if you get like basic skill damage increase or core skill damage increase, they're all pretty interchangeable, so it's kind of like having all those multipliers. Whereas Barb, for heavy-handed, you have to be wielding a two-handed weapon. For counteroffensive, you have to be fortified. For duelist, you have to be dual wielding in order to get the increase in attack speed. So you can't really take advantage of all of these passives if you're constantly swapping weapons, especially because the Walking Arsenal key passive is pert near useless. So that doesn't make much sense. But these changes are going in the right direction. Upheaval got huge buffs, and the aspect of Sundered Ground for Upheaval also got a buff. But like the animation is still trash. It's like someone trying to swing a pool noodle in like hurricane winds. It's just super slow. Even at 200% capped attack speed in both attack speed caps, it just, the animation, it just sucks. I think if they fixed that animation, or they went like the opposite of that, right? They just made Upheaval into this almost like a charged skill. So you would activate all your buffs like you do with Mighty Throw, and then they could just 5x the damage of Upheaval. So you're doing like this big blast every 5 to 6 seconds, instead of like 3 attacks take 5 to 6 seconds anyways, and it's kind of meh. You could just really spike that damage up and make it more of a weapon mastery skill than a core skill, in a sense. Not that it has a cooldown, but like just embrace the shitty animation and just boost the damage to high heavens, and then I think that would compensate in a way. But I would like to see the animation get switched so you could kind of interchangeable like Whirlwind Hoda was, but like with Whirlwind Upheaval, kind of the same basic premise. That's pretty much it for the barbarian changes. I mean, a couple uniques that are underutilized, like Twin Strikes, Tusk Helm, Ring Red Fury, Gore's Devastating Grips, 100,000 Steps. I mean, Fields of Crimson, Overkill. The problem is all of the things that correspond with these items just don't do enough damage, and like Gore's Devastating Grips, you would have to add a few digits to this. Like, and Whirlwind's damage was unchanged in this patch, which makes no sense. They did every other core skill but the physical damage of Whirlwind. And I mean, Whirlwind hits like wet pasta. Like it just doesn't really do anything for me. I guess we'll see what these buffs do. I'm optimistic for Decimator and Blood Rage. I'm hoping that can push my Thorns build up to maybe tier 100 pretty decently. I'd like to see like 110, 120 pits, but I don't think it'll happen. I think we would need like a 5-10x damage increase for barb to be able to get there. It just feels so weak in comparison. But we're gonna keep this video short and sweet. That's pretty much it for the patch notes on balance changes. I don't really see anything else worth mentioning, honestly. Sorcerer got a bunch of buffs to their glyphs. Stalagmite, Torch, Pyromaniac. Some key passive buffs. Some changes to their aspects. I think Rogue, just looking at the notes, I think Rogue made out probably the best between them and Druid with the changes. I don't know that it's going to make a huge difference, but man, Rogue got increases to a double damage increase to Deadly Venom, a 20% increase roughly, or 30% increase roughly to Exploit. Victimized damage scaling increase to 150%. Alchemical Admixture? I thought it was Alchemical Advantage, but increased from 20% to 40%. Precision damage scaling increased from 15 to 20%. Close quarters combat damage scaling increased from 15 to 25%. Momentum damage per stack increased from 5 to 6%. Exposure lucky hit chance increased from 25 to 40%. Stun grenade damage increased from 40 to 80%. I mean, that's pretty good. Damage cap while inner sight is full increased from 35 to 60%. Blade Dancer's aspect damage increased from 40 to 60 to 60 to 80%. Wind Force damage bonus when activated increased from double to triple damage. Pretty decent stuff. So we'll see what happens with the updates. I hope all you barbarians log in. Let's do some testing and give them some feedback. Hopefully we get a PTR here soon for Season 7, and we can see that balance go up a little bit more. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Help us grow the channel. Alright y'all, stay classy.